Good morning. We're going to get started. Thank you. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize the best police commissioner and the best commissioner of prisons. Not only on the East Coast, but in the entire world. Some serious stuff there. Thank you. Thank you for your service. We appreciate you all. All right, we're going to get kicking off. And to give our invocation this morning, the chair recognizes the Reverend Eric Good of the People's Baptist Church. He is here today as a guest of Councilwoman Brooks. I would ask all members and guests to please rise. I was told that the pastor is an awesome pastor. I want to take a chance to go out and just endorsed by Councilman Kenyatta Johnson as one of the sparkling presentations of the word of the Lord. Pastor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
May we pray. Loving and life-giving God, thank you for this gathering of elected persons who have assembled in this chamber. May these officials continue to do the work of imagining a better Philadelphia. They are the voice of the voiceless and hopeless. They lead in the most critical time in our city. Their work is fraught with many obstacles and opportunities. Today they come to deliberate and to discuss the present issues that pervade our city, but also to think through strategies and solutions. Bless their hands that they might serve with fervor and energy. Bless their minds that they might imagine a Philadelphia that can be. May they imagine a Philadelphia of justice and equity. May they imagine a Philadelphia where safety and security are a priority. May they imagine a Philadelphia where our children receive a fruitful education. May they imagine a Philadelphia where no one goes to bed hungry or homeless. May they imagine a Philadelphia where our seniors are cared for. Bless their efforts this day. May these elected officials be drum majors of justice and love. May they indeed be facilitators of liberation and wholeness in a world full of injustice. Finally, bless their personal lives. May you grant health and vibrancy in their work. Look upon their families and grant them peace from this time forth and evermore. In the name of our loving, liberating, and life-giving God, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend, so much for those inspiring words this morning. We really appreciate you being here. Councilman Biddies. Thank you. Our next order of business is the approval of the journal of the meeting of Thursday, March 16, 2023, and the chair recognizes Councilman Squilla. Council. I'm sorry, Bass. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, March 16, 2023 be approved.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly seconded. Seconded that the journal of the meeting of Thursday, March 16, 2023 stand approved. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. And our journal is approved. And the next order of business is request for leave of absence. And the chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the members, there are no requests for leaves of absence today.
Chair thanks the gentleman. And our next order of business is the Sunshine Act motion. The chair recognizes Councilman Squilla now for a motion concerning certain legislative matters that may arise during the course of today's session of council that were not listed on the calendar prior to today's session. Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that any of the following matters, if considered today, may be added to the agenda for this session of council, and as required by law, subsequently published on an amended agenda after the consideration of those matters. Resolutions authorizing hearings, amendments to bills on first readings, reconsideration of a bill vetoed by or recalled from the mayor, amendments to bills recalled from the mayor, resolutions taking substantive action to be voted on in this session, a motion to withdraw a bill or resolution that is not on the calendar, and a motion placing a bill or resolution on or returning a bill or resolution from the suspension calendar that is not listed on today's calendar.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded that the legislative matters stated by Councilman Squilla may be added to the agenda for today should those matters arise during the course of the council session. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. And motion is approved. And our next order of business is communication. And the chair recognizes the clerk who will please read the message from the mayor and any other communication that he may have in his possession today.
From the mayor to the president and members of the council of the city of Philadelphia, I am pleased to advise you that on March 22, 2023, I signed the following bill, which was passed by council at a session on March 9, 2023, bill number 220941, and that I am returning bill number 220973 and 230001 without my signature, and bill number 230106 as disapproved. And I am transmitting for the consideration of your honorable body a resolution appointing Vince Latuca to the Board of Directors for the Old City Special Services District, and a resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Land Bank to execute and deliver to the Philadelphia Housing Authority a deed conveying fee simple title to 1 through 49 Rudy Robinson Way in the 3rd Councilmanic District, and a resolution appointing Laura Bayer to the Board of Directors of the City Avenue Special Services District, and a resolution appointing Cheryl McConnell to the Board of Directors of the City Avenue Special Services District, and a resolution appointing Nathan Mucknick to the Board of Directors of the City Avenue Special Services District, and a resolution appointing Serena Quick to the Board of Directors of the City Avenue Special Services District, and an ordinance amending Chapter 11700 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Right-of-Way Management by revising requirements for obtaining access to and permits for construction in the underground portion of the right-of-way and making technical changes, and amending Chapter 9300 entitled Communication by deleting provisions related to poles and overhead wires, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. That concludes our communication. And our next order of business is the introduction of bills and resolutions. I would ask the clerk to please read the titles of the bills and resolutions that are being offered by our members today.
Councilman Phillips offers a privilege resolution honoring Diane Richardson, Angela Smith, Nabia Parker, Marlene Trice, and Marlene L. Torres as heroes of the 9th Council District for their laudable service to the community.
Today's calendar.
Councilman Thomas offers a privilege resolution authorizing the Committee on Labor and Civil Service to hold a hearing examining the economic burden of the unregulated business economy on the City of Philadelphia.
Today's calendar.
And a privilege resolution honoring and congratulating Champion of the Week, Yulissa Ortiz, for becoming the first young woman to win a Philadelphia Public League wrestling title.
Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Good morning, Council President. Good morning, colleagues. Ms. Ortiz and her family is here today in City Council. She's a student at Marietta Bracetti. She actually wrestled the 121-pound weight as it relates to wrestling. And her sister is also a wrestler as well as her brother. So I just wanted to take a moment to honor her and recognize her and her family. Can you stand up and can we give her a round of applause? Anytime we could put ourselves in a position to recognize young people for the great work that they're doing, whether it's academically or through extracurricular activity, we want to do so. And we're hoping that Ms. Ortiz inspires the next young woman to get involved in athletics, whether it's wrestling or some other sport, and achieve their best self. So thank you, and what better, well, I'm sure there's other people we're going to honor for Women's History Month, but I think that she belongs on that list with some of the other people we're going to honor. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. That will be on today's calendar.
Councilman Jones offers 6 resolutions. On behalf of Council President Clark, a non-privileged resolution also naming the 1700 block of West Montgomery Avenue as Christopher Fitzgerald Way.
Next week's calendar.
And on his own behalf, a non-privileged resolution calling on the Pennsylvania General Assembly to temporarily suspend firearm preemption for cities of the first class to allow Philadelphia to enforce measures that will reduce gun violence.
Next week's calendar.
And a non-privileged resolution appointing Cheryl McConnell to the Board of Directors of the City Avenue Special Services District of Philadelphia and Lower Merion.
For the committee.
And a non-privileged resolution appointing Laura Bayer to the Board of Directors of the City Avenue Special Services District of Philadelphia and Lower Merion.
For the committee.
And a non-privileged resolution appointing Nathan Mucknick to the Board of Directors of the City Avenue Special Services District of Philadelphia and Lower Merion.
For the committee.
And a non-privileged resolution appointing Serena Quick to the Board of Directors of the City Avenue Special Services District of Philadelphia and Lower Merion.
For the committee.
Councilwoman Brooks offers a privileged resolution honoring and recognizing the dedicated service of Deborah Wee, whose steadfast championship and work on behalf of the Philadelphia, Chinatown, and Asian American communities has inspired a new generation of community advocates and preserved Philadelphia's Chinatown as a vibrant national cultural icon.
Today's calendar.
And a privileged resolution honoring and recognizing Maria Adames for her decades of life-changing work on behalf of vulnerable Philadelphians and her commitment and passion for her city and community.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Brooks.
Okay. Thank you, Council President. In honor of Women's History Month, I'm continuing my series of resolutions honoring powerful Philadelphia women who shaped our city's history and transformed it for the better. I've had to miss some sessions this month to take care of some official business. So today, I'm excited to honor 2 amazing Philadelphia women, Debbie Way and Maria Adames. Debbie Way is a lifelong organizer whose commitment to her Asian American community has been unshaken during her entire lifetime. Debbie helped found Asian American United, one of the oldest Asian Pacific Islander-based organizations in Philadelphia, which has championed the rights of and inspired new leadership of Philadelphians of Asian descent to challenge oppression. Debbie has also fought to improve our public schools for safe housing for all residents and for expanded opportunities for young people. Debbie's work, also centered on Chinatown community, has preserved Philadelphia's Chinatown as a vibrant national cultural icon and inspired a new generation of community advocates. And Maria has spent her life advocating for and assisting our most vulnerable neighbors. Maria spent 29 years as a paralegal with Community Legal Service, helping low-income Philadelphians facing foreclosure, utility and tax issues, and emergency housing program. Today, Maria serves as a CARES administrator at PECO's Universal Service Department, working to help low and moderate income Philadelphians manage and pay their utility bills. Maria has also volunteered with La Liga del Barrio, Philadelphia's first Latino youth basketball league, for 2 decades, and she can be found there many Saturday mornings helping with registrations or concessions while appreciating the enthusiasm and heart of the kids put into each game. The leadership and dedication of these 2 amazing women have inspired generations of women organizers and caretakers, and I am so grateful to honor them both today. Can they stand, please? Thank you so much, Council President. It's been an honor to honor all these women throughout this month, because so often we forget these unsung community heroes that do the work on the ground. So thank you so much, colleagues, for co-sponsoring, and thank you, ladies, for being our heroes in the city.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Lozada.
To take the opportunity to say thank you to Councilmember Brooks for recognizing Maria Adames, who I've known for over 20 years, has been a selfless servant to my constituents and to the city of Philadelphia. It doesn't matter the day, it doesn't matter the time. Maria has always said yes, has always been present, and does everything she can, goes beyond the call of duty to be able to serve and make sure that people receive the necessary resources that improve their quality of life. And so I'm honored to call her my friend. And I want to congratulate her and thank her publicly for everything that she has always done for us in the Latino community.
Thank you. Thank you. Today's calendar.
Councilman Driscoll offers a privileged resolution recognizing April 2022 as Autism Acceptance and Awareness Month in the city of Philadelphia and commending the work of the Philadelphia Autism Project.
Today's calendar.
And a privileged resolution proclaiming the month of March in 2023 as Irish Heritage Month in the city of Philadelphia and honoring the St. Patrick's Day Observance Association of Philadelphia.
Today's calendar.
Councilwoman Bass offers a privileged resolution honoring Philadelphia Department of Prisons Commissioner Blanche Carney for being a pillar of the community and her exemplary work throughout the city of Philadelphia and outstanding leadership during Women's History Month.
Today's calendar.
And a privileged resolution honoring the Philadelphia Police Commissioner Danielle M. Outlaw for being a pillar of the community and for her exemplary work throughout the city of Philadelphia and outstanding leadership during Women's History Month.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass. Want to do them all? Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Decker.
And a privileged resolution honoring Sheriff Rochelle Bilal for being a pillar of the community and for her exemplary work throughout the city of Philadelphia and outstanding leadership during Women's History Month.
Chair now recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to take this moment during Women's History Month, and I wanted to recognize these three women, and I thank them all for being here today. Can we have them stand and give them a round of applause for being women working to service our community? Mr. President, I think sometimes people on the outside might look at what we do in city government and think that it's easy, that what we do is super easy. We make it look easy, but it's not easy. And to recognize these three women and the work that they have done in keeping Philadelphians safe and keeping the city running and all that they have done for our communities, I think at this moment, as we recognize Women's History Month, as it comes to an end, that we recognize these three women as not only being women who are doing something significant, but really making a difference in all of our lives, whether we acknowledge it, know it, see it on the day-to-day or not. And we wanted to take a moment and just say thank you, thank you, thank you for the work that you have done. And I wanted to just, if you would indulge me, Mr. President, because I know that they have very busy schedules, as you can imagine, and probably I might lose one or two of them before we actually get down to the end of our session. But I wanted to recognize our commissioner. I'll start with Danielle Outlaw, who began her career in the Oakland Police Department. She rose through the ranks to deputy chief after various assignments, including patrol, community services, the Office of Chief of Police, the Criminal Investigations Division, Internal Affairs, and the Office of Inspector General. In 2017, Commissioner Outlaw became the first African-American woman to hold the position of Chief of Police of the Portland, Oregon Bureau of Police. Prior to her appointment, there had been only 2 other female chiefs in the Portland Police Department. On December 30th, 2019, Danielle M. Outlaw was named Commissioner of the Philadelphia Department, making her the first female African-American commissioner in the city's history. She stands at the helm of the nation's fourth largest police department, which employs more than 6,500 sworn officers and 800 civilians who work to make the city of Philadelphia safe. Commissioner Outlaw is a member of the International Association of Chiefs of Police, Human and Civil Rights Committee, the National Organization of Black Law Executives, and is an Eastern Region representative member of the Major Cities Chiefs, as well as a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Kudos to Commissioner Danielle Outlaw. Commissioner Carney. Commissioner Carney began her work and career with the Philadelphia Department of Prisons as a social worker. She was promoted to the social work supervisor position and was responsible for the intake unit at the current Fromhold Correctional Facility. Commissioner Carney was instrumental in implementing gender-responsive training to correctional officers, treatment staff, and contractors in working with female offenders, and has been strongly advocating for drug and alcohol treatment and transitional services. In January 2015, Commissioner Carney was promoted to the position of Deputy Commissioner for Restorative and Transitional Services, where she continued her commitment to providing evidence-based programs and services to the inmate population in support of positive reentry and returning citizens. And in April of 2016, Blanche Carney was appointed to the position of Commissioner of Philadelphia Department of Prisons, making her the first African-American woman to head the department. With distinction, she leads a staff of 2,300 employees and contracted staff, which operates 6 facilities in Northeast Philadelphia. And last but not least, certainly, Sheriff Rochelle Bilal. Sheriff Bilal has 27 years of service in the Philadelphia Police Department, where she fulfilled many significant roles. She served on units that focus on sex crimes and drug trafficking, including work in the high-intense drug trafficking area, a joint task force with the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and the Drug Enforcement Administration. For over a decade, Sheriff Bilal has served as the Secretary of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, Philadelphia branch, and is the former president of the Guardian Civic League, a law enforcement community oversight organization comprising of active and retired Philadelphia police officers. Sheriff Bilal was the first female hired to serve as the Director of Public Safety, where she managed the police department and the volunteer fire department. And on January 6, 2020, Sheriff Rochelle Bilal was sworn in to lead the office of the sheriff for the city and county of Philadelphia. She has the distinction to be the first elected African-American woman sheriff in the 181-year history of the Philadelphia Sheriff's Office. And those 3 women have made history. Kudos, congratulations, and a great big round of applause, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Yeah, thank you, Council President. I'm just going to be real quick. I just want to echo the sentiments of my colleague, Councilman Cindy Bass, for taking time out of her schedule and acknowledging these 3 outstanding leaders here in the city of Philadelphia, particularly around the area of public safety. And I work very closely with my colleague, Councilman Curtis Jones, and these 3 leaders on a variety of different issues. And so, again, we just want to say hats off, continue to keep up the good work. And we know it's not an easy job, but y'all get up day in and day out on the front line addressing the issues around public safety. And one thing I think that the wider public takes for granted is that these 3 individuals who are out there doing this work, they're not guaranteed to go home and see their families on any given day. Whether it's the sheriff's office when she's going front line, kicking in doors and providing arrest warrants for fugitives, or as Commissioner Carney, who's working in our prison system on state roads, and they might try to take over the prison, right? As well as our commissioner going day in and day out on the front line, addressing all issues around crime and gun violence and public safety. It's not guaranteed that they come home day in and day out to their families. And so we personally thank all 3 of you for being on the front line and making sure we have a safer and better city. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
I just want to echo what Member Johnson said, but kudos, hats off to what Cindy Bass had the sense to acknowledge during Women's History Month. All you had to do was when they stood up and all three of them were beside each other to see how impressive, how powerful that imagery is of people who are, as Member Johnson said, on the front line. I have had an opportunity to work with each and every one of them, and their path was not easy, is not easy, and their responsibilities day to day are hard. So for you to be here today, you do honor to this chamber. You do honor to this chamber for your professionalism and not being afraid to go headfirst into some of the problems that you did not cause, but you are part of the responsibility to solve. So thank you very, very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. It will be on today's calendar.
There are no other bills or resolutions being offered today by the members, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Decker. And our next order of business is reports from committee. And the chair recognizes Councilman Thomas for a report from the Committee of Streets and Services.
Big report. Thank you, Council President. The Committee on Streets and Services reports out 26 bills with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read that report.
To the President and members of the Council of the City of Philadelphia, the Committee on Streets and Services, to which is referred Bill number 220906, entitled, An Ordinance Establishing a No Truck Parking Regulation on both sides of 67th Street between Callowhill Street and Girard Avenue, and Bill number 220939, entitled, An Ordinance Establishing a No Truck Parking Regulation on both sides of 63rd Street between Malvern Avenue and Wynwood Road, and Bill number 220943, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Paving of 34th Street from Maiden Lane to Jackson Street, Fortin Way from Maiden Lane to Jackson Street, and Jackson Street from 34th Street to Vera Avenue. And Bill number 220944, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Revision of Lines and Grades on a portion of City Plan numbers 24S, 25S, and 32S by relocating the existing curb lines and house lines along the western side of Vera Avenue from Maiden Lane to 28th Street, along the southern side of Maiden Lane from 34th Street to Vera Avenue, and at the intersection of Vera Avenue and Maiden Lane to accommodate the widening of certain streets and various intersection improvements. And Bill number 220945, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Revision of Lines and Grades on a portion of City Plan numbers 25S and 32S by placing on the City Plan 34th Street from Maiden Lane to Jackson Street, Fortin Way from Maiden Lane to Jackson Street, and Jackson Street from 34th Street to Vera Avenue. And Bill number 220946, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Striking from City Plan numbers 25S and 32S and abandonment of a certain right-of-way reserved for sewer and drainage purposes located along the former Jackson Street, west of Vera Avenue, and extending westwardly therefrom to 34th Street. And Bill number 220947, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Paving of Francis Harper Drive from Passyunk Avenue to Penrose Avenue, Hartranft Street from 26th Street to Schuylkill Avenue, Schuylkill Avenue from Passyunk Avenue to Penrose Avenue, and an extension of Passyunk Avenue Special Service Road, also known as Frontage Road, from its current terminus to Schuylkill Avenue. And Bill number 220948, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Revision of Lines and Grades on a portion of City Plan numbers 32S, 33S, 39S, 40S, 46S, 47S, and 53S by relocating the existing curb lines and house lines along the southern side of Passyunk Avenue at its intersection with South 28th Street and Passyunk Avenue Service Road, also known as Frontage Road. Along both sides of Passyunk Avenue Service Road, also known as Frontage Road, at its intersections with Francis Harper Drive and Passyunk Avenue. Along the western side of 26th Street and center median of South 26th Street at its intersections with Passyunk Avenue, Hartranft Street, and Penrose Avenue. Along both sides of the northwesterly service road of Penrose Avenue, also known as Lanier Avenue. And along the northern side of Penrose Avenue and center median of Penrose Avenue at its intersections with the northwesterly service road of Penrose Avenue, also known as Lanier Avenue, Francis Harper Drive, Schuylkill Avenue, and 26th Street. And Bill number 220949, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Revision of Lines and Grades on a portion of City Plan numbers 32S, 33S, 40S, 47S, 48S, 53S, and 56S by placing on the city plan Francis Harper Drive from Passyunk Avenue to Penrose Avenue, Hartraft Street from 26th Street to Schuylkill Avenue, Schuylkill Avenue from Passyunk Avenue to Penrose Avenue, and an extension of Passyunk Avenue Service Road, also known as Frontage Road, to Schuylkill Avenue. And bill number 220950, entitled an ordinance authorizing the striking from city plan numbers 40S, 47S, 48S, 53S, and 56S, and abandonment of certain rights of way reserved for water and gas main purposes located along the former Lanier Avenue from Penrose Avenue to former Schuylkill Avenue, and located along the former Schuylkill Avenue from Lanier Avenue to Passyunk Avenue. And bill number 220968, entitled an ordinance amending section 12919 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled on-street parking of boats, motorhomes, truck campers, semi-trailers, truck tractors, and vending carts, to provide prohibitions on semi-trailer and truck tractor parking in the 9th District of Council. And bill number 220970, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of city plan number 167 by relocating the curb lines and a portion of the southerly house line of Arch Street between 63rd Street and Grove Street in order to conform more closely with existing conditions. And bill number 220971, entitled an ordinance establishing a two-way regulation on the southwesterly cartway of Bear Avenue, extending along the southwesterly side of the Schuylkill Expressway, I-76, from South 28th Street to Maiden Lane, and establishing a two-way regulation on South 28th Street from Bear Avenue to Porter Street. And bill number 230002, entitled an ordinance establishing a no truck parking regulation on both sides of North 57th Street between Lansdowne Avenue and Media Street. And bill number 230003, entitled an ordinance establishing a no truck parking regulation on both sides of North Parkside Avenue between Winfield Avenue and Monument Road. And bill number 230009, entitled an ordinance amending chapter 122800 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled Administrative Adjudication of Parking Violations, by further providing with respect to monetary penalties for on-street parking of semi-trailers and truck tractors. And bill number 230033, entitled an ordinance authorizing the vacating of Sloane Street from Ogden Street to its terminus northwardly therefrom, and the reserving and plotting upon city plan number 106 of a right-of-way for sewer and drainage purposes and public utilities purposes within the lines of said Sloane Street being vacated. And bill number 230035, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of city plan number 370 by striking from the city plan Southampton Road from Bustleton Avenue to its terminus southeasterly therefrom. And bill number 230078, entitled an ordinance authorizing the installation, ownership, and maintenance of various encroachments in the vicinity of 3317 through 33 Chestnut Street. And bill number 230103, entitled an ordinance amending chapter 11700 of the Philadelphia Code, entitled right-of-way management, by authorizing the Department of Streets to install traffic calming measures in the vicinity of school district schools, charter schools, and private schools. And bill number 230128, entitled an ordinance authorizing the revision of lines and grades on a portion of city plan number 125 by placing on the city plan Boston Place from 10th Street to 11th Street north of York Street. And bill number 230130, entitled an ordinance establishing a no truck parking regulation on both sides of 66th Street between Morris Park Road and Sherwood Road. And bill number 230131, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Mifflin Street and South 20th Street, South 17th Street between Wolf Street and Jackson Street, South 18th Street and Snyder Avenue, Mole Street between Moore Street and McKean Street, Carlisle Street and Jackson Street, Rosewood Street and Tasker Street. And bill number 230153, entitled an ordinance establishing park regulations in the vicinity of Moore Street and South 6th Street, Furnace Street and South 6th Street, South 7th Street and Wharton Street, Latona Street and 12th Street, Ellsworth Street and South 12th Street, Broad Street and Dickinson Street, Annan Street and South 7th Street. And bill number 230154, entitled an ordinance establishing park regulations in the vicinity of Passyunk Avenue to Queen Street and South 5th Street, Washington Avenue and South Front Street, League Street and South Front Street. And bill number 230155, entitled an ordinance establishing parking regulations in the vicinity of Daly Street and South 8th Street, Emily Street and South 6th Street, McKean Street and South 6th Street to South 9th Street, Mifflin Street and South 7th Street, Warnock Street and McKean Street. Respectfully reports that it is considered the same and returns the attached bills to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. I move that the rules of council be suspended as to permit the first reading of this, this day of the 26 bills that were just read into the record by the clerk.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of 26 bills that were just read by the clerk. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. And they will be on our first reading calendar today. The chair now recognizes Councilman Johnson for a report from the Committee on Transportation and Public Utilities.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Committee on Transportation and Public Utilities reports one bill with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Decker, please read the report.
The Committee on Transportation and Public Utilities, to which was referred Bill Number 230108, entitled, An Ordinance Authorizing the Procurement Commissioner, on behalf of the City, to enter into a concession agreement with Slice Wireless Solutions, Incorporated, for the operation, maintenance, and expansion of a neutral host radio, cellular, and Wi-Fi system, and other wireless services. Respectfully reports it as considered the same and returns the attached bill to Council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Chair again recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading of this day of bill number 230108.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly second that the rules of council be suspended so as to permit first reading this day of bill number 230108. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. And this bill will be placed on our first reading calendar today. We will now proceed under a special order of business, a motion that council reconsider the vote by which bill number 230106 was passed. This bill was passed by the council on its March 9, 2023 session and was returned disapproved by the mayor at today's session of council. The chief clerk will please read the title of the bill.
Bill number 230106, entitled An Ordinance Providing for the Submission of the Qualified Electors of the City of Philadelphia of the proposal set forth in a resolution approved by council amending the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter by establishing the office of the Chief Public Safety Director to be responsible for ensuring public safety by coordinating the resources, personnel, and employment, property, plant, and equipment within the departments of police, prisons, recreation, and other relevant city agencies, and authorizing the appropriate officers to publish notice and to make arrangements for the special election.
Thank you. At this time, the chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
I move that council reconsider bill number 230106, which was approved by City Council on March 9th, 2023.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Thank you. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Bill number 230106 will be placed at the end of today's calendar. And our next order of business is consideration of the calendar. I note that the bills just reported from committee with suspension of the rules have been deemed to have had its first reading. They will be placed on our second reading and final passage calendar at our next session of council. There are no additional bills on the first reading calendar, so the chair recognizes Councilman Jones for the purpose of calling up bills and resolutions on the final passage calendar at today's session.
Thank you, Mr. President. The following bills and resolutions are being called up from first reading to final passage calendars today. Numbers 230215, 230216, 230218, 230079, 230104, 230105, 230106, 22009, 220914, and 220972. All other bills are being held, resolutions.
Thank you. Before considering these resolutions and bills, we will consider public comment. We'll go as follows. Your public comment must concern matters on the second reading and final passage calendar for possible action at today's session. All speakers must sign up in order to testify. If you're not already signed up, you may do so now at the table outside of the chambers with the Sergeant of Arms. Once your name is called, you will, in the order in which you appear on the sign-up sheet, you will come up to testify. Under ideal circumstances, unfortunately, we don't have today because we have a significant number of individuals. We're going to ask you to adjust your time frame on your testimony to 2 minutes. We want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to testify today. In order to be fair, we intend to hold faithfully to the established time limit. So when you begin speaking, you will see a green light on the podium, on the device. When the light turns yellow, you will have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks. And when the light turns red, we'd ask that you please adhere to our guidelines and conclude your remarks. We again thank you for your willingness to participate in your government in action. We genuinely appreciate you being here to testify on the bills and resolutions that are up today. Mr. Decker, please call the first name on the list.
The first speaker, Mr. President, is Lance Haver, commenting on 230-216.
Good morning. My name is Lance Haver. I'm a board member of the Philadelphia Unemployment Project, a 48-year-old advocacy group, and I'm here on their behalf today to say thank you for council for fighting to raise the minimum wage. The state and federal minimum wage in the United States has remained glued at $7.25 an hour for the last 12 years, the longest stretch without a boost since the minimum wage was first adopted in 1938. Every state surrounding us has raised its minimum wage, and food at fast food restaurants is not less expensive in Pennsylvania than it is in surrounding states. Jobs have not moved from New Jersey into Pennsylvania because the minimum wage went up in New Jersey. The states surrounding Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, which have raised the minimum wage, have not seen their economies collapse. Since the 1970s, we have seen the complete divorce between wages and productivity, with most of the gains going to the people at the top. If the minimum wage had kept pace with gains in the economy's productivity over the last 50 years, the minimum wage would be nearly $26 an hour today, or more than $50,000 a year in annual income. In addition, because the minimum wage has not been raised, other incomes have been stagnant. People who make more than the minimum wage would see an increase if the minimum wage was raised. And because wages have been frozen for so long, housing, utility, and even food have become unaffordable to tens of thousands of Philadelphians. Housing, utility bills, and food are more affordable to people who make more. The more people make, the less need for subsidy programs, and the more the city budget can be used to invest in our future. So I appreciate, and the Philadelphia Unemployment Project appreciates the resolution, urges every member of council to vote for it. It is time to raise the minimum wage in the state of Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is John Bynum, commenting on 230-216.
John Bynum. Good morning. My name is John Bynum. Good morning, City Council members. I would like to thank Councilmember Johnson for inviting me to speak on raising the minimum wage today. My name is John Bynum. I am the Assistant District Leader of Mid-Atlantic 1201 District of SEIU 32BJ. The Mid-Atlantic 1201 District of 32BJ represents over 10,000 bus drivers, janitors, building engineers, security guards for both Pennsylvania and the School District of Philadelphia commercial office buildings. This includes the cleaners and security guards in this building. My union, along with most of you here today, have been fighting to raise the minimum wage in Pennsylvania and across the country for more than a decade. Since kicking off the Fight for 15, 26 million workers across the country have won raises, but not here in Pennsylvania. While all our neighborhoods and states have raised their wages, Pennsylvania minimum wage has stayed the same, $7.25. Pennsylvania minimum wage of $7.29 has not raised since 2006. $7.25 barely buys me a dozen of eggs. Almost 1.5 million Pennsylvanians earn less than $15 an hour. This leaves many Pennsylvanians living in poverty. barely making ends meet, and relying on social safety nets just to get by. Many of the workers who are struggling are the very same workers we call heroes and essential during the pandemic. It is an insult that we are not raising the wage for them and all Pennsylvania workers. Full-time workers earning a minimum wage currently cannot cover the average cost of living. They spend a bigger portion of their income on necessities like housing, food, utilities, which can often not be delayed. Increase in prices for basic necessities. Okay, all right, I'm sorry. In particular, can result in low-income households becoming housing, food, energy, and food insecure overnight. Government action to raise the minimum wage is necessary to protect these impacted workers from today's record high prices. The power to lift wages currently rests entirely in Harrisburg. When the lawmakers last raised the Pennsylvania minimum wage in 2006, they also preempted local minimum.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Sorry. Yeah, again, I'd ask you to please adjust your time for the 2-minute limit, because we have a lot of people that want to speak today.
The next speaker is Rashad Eaton, commenting on 230-216.
How's everyone doing? My name is Rashad Eaton.
Come on.
I'm a concession stands worker with Aramark at Wells Fargo Center. I've been there a little over a month after finishing the United Here Philadelphia Hospitality Academy. Before the pandemic, my family had a landscaping business with over 300 clients, but we had to shut down due to COVID. After that, I struggled to start over and was out of work for some time until I went through the Hospitality Academy and got my union job at the stadiums. Now I'm a member of United Here Local 274. In my community, I've seen people struggle making less than $15 an hour. I have lots of friends with kids who needed a chance, and I watched them struggle trying to feed their family, making less than $15 an hour. People can't afford to live. They can't take care of their kids at home. They have to get second job just to pay the bills. It's like they are robots overworked with little pay. One of my coworkers lives in Chester and takes 2.5 hour commute just to get to work, and she doesn't get home until 1 in the morning. She has a 14-year-old daughter who needs her. She struggles to pay her rent. I think people need at least $20 an hour to get by. These corporations make billions of dollars, and they can afford to pay people more. But we can't afford to make less than that. Inflation is going up, so how are we supposed to make it? The cost of living is rising, but we're still making pennies. Groceries alone, you can't even afford. If we don't rise the minimum wage, we'll have more homelessness, more crime, more kids not being raised by their parents because they need 3-4 jobs just to pay the bills. The minimum wage has to go up. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
Gregory Moody, commenting on 230-216.
Morning.
Hello, everybody. My name is Gregory Moody. I currently work for Aramark at Wells Fargo. I'm a concessions cook member. I got the job from knocking on doors at United Here And I was out of work since 2020 when the pandemic started. So Unite Here gave me an opportunity to work again. So I know how it feels to make under $15 an hour. It's stressful. It's hard coming home, trying to take care of your family, not knowing that another check is going to come or whatnot. So we definitely need to raise the minimum wage so we can be able to take care of our families as well as take our loved ones on trips, enjoy life. $15 an hour or less than $15 an hour is not going to do it, especially with the inflation and the way everything is going up, especially the groceries. Day-to-day living is going up. So it's urgent and mandatory that we raise the minimum wage, or life as we know it is going to get worse every day. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
The next speaker is Brahim Douglas, commenting on 230216.
Brahim Douglas. Brahim Douglas. Hello, my name is Brahim Douglas. I'm the Vice President of Unite Here Local 274 and the Outreach Coordinator for the Unite Here Philadelphia Hospitality Academy. I was born and raised in Philadelphia. I worked for many years down at the stadiums in South Philly and fought with my coworkers to raise the wages, like to bring the wages down, bring the wages up through having a strong union. And now, so many years later, I'm helping to spearhead our Hospitality Academy. We train Philadelphians from the poorest zip codes to place into union jobs and have benefits that workers fought to change. A lot of people who come to the Hospitality Academy have never had a union job before and come from deep poverty and have had jobs where they were making less than $15 an hour. And weren't even able to afford transportation to get to and from work. Our training academy helps work through those matters when folks get a job. We help provide transportation until they get their first paycheck, and they get up on their feet. If you're making less than $15 an hour, folks are working multiple jobs, and they aren't able to spend time with their families and loved ones, and they're not able to take breaks. They're exhausted. By comparison, our most recent graduate class will be going to Citizen Bank Ballpark and will be making over 15 with a pathway to benefits. We've been fighting to raise the standard there in South Philly for many years with your ongoing support, Councilman Johnson. Our union is working to raise the standard for both union and non-union workers in our industry. Here are some numbers to consider. The average annual income for Philadelphians employed in visitor accommodation, includes management, is $24,061. That is well below the poverty line for a family of four. The living wage for one adult and one child in Philadelphia is $37 an hour. For a year-round 40-hour per week employee, that would be approximately $77,000 per year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Decker?
The next speaker is Evelyn Sample.
Good morning, esteemed members of council. My name is Evelyn Sample Oates, and it is my pleasure and my pride to be here today to speak on behalf of Police Commissioner Danielle M. Outlaw, who stands at the helm of the Philadelphia Police Department. The department employs more than 5,600 sworn officers and 800 professional staff who work to help make Philadelphia a safer city. And as unbelievable as it may sound, she is the first African American female police commissioner to serve within the department's 169-year history. Commissioner Outlaw does not hail from a family of law enforcement officers. Her passion for this career was born out of a true desire to improve the police community relations in her hometown during her high school years. Her journey began in Oakland, California, where she rose through the ranks as a compassionate and respected leader. After serving her community faithfully for over 20 years, she became the first African American female police chief of the Portland, Oregon Bureau of Police. Throughout her significant career of first, she leads the members of the Philadelphia Police Department with authenticity and extends humanity to the community she serves. Police Commissioner Outlaw's career in Philadelphia continues to be an exciting journey. Life-altering events that may occur once in a police commissioner's lifetime, if they occur at all, happened all at once. But Commissioner Outlaw did not only lead the fourth largest police department in the nation during this unprecedented time in history, but did so while enduring a pandemic, the murder of an officer, significant staffing shortages, increased illegal weapons and ghost guns on our streets, and a heartbreaking amount of lives lost. That burden of which she shoulders with the community she serves and her police officers serve. So what shines through in her leadership is resilience. Resilience under pressure, resilience under change, resiliency that allows those around her to know that they can survive the trauma and they can endure. Her task is not for the weak of heart. Under Commissioner Outlaw's direction, the police department instituted several programs to ensure that police officers connect with community members in a way that is meaningful and gives voice to marginalized members of our community. The Procedural Just Youth Engagement Program and the Youth Advisory Commission were created to make sure that the youth, who are often direct and indirect witnesses to violent crime in our community, could unite and find solutions to issues that they encounter every day. I will wrap it up with this final statement. Commissioner Outlaw, according to, in fact, Mayor Jim Kenney, who after a nationwide search that brought Commissioner Outlaw to Philadelphia, recently said, Commissioner Outlaw has shown unfailingly courageous leadership and commitment to public safety in the 3 years since her appointment to the position. While our city navigated the uncertainty and social aftershocks of an unprecedented global health crisis, Commissioner Outlaw has been a trusted advisor and partner to my office and all of our collaborators in public safety, violence, prevention, and criminal justice. Under her leadership, we have made significant strides in policing reforms and data-driven strategies, advancing public safety. I commend her integrity, her compassion, and her dedication to promoting safety and progress. So join me today as we recognize my friend, my sorority sister, my link sister, and applaud Commissioner Outlaw for her tireless dedication as a law enforcement leader and a true public servant.
Thank you. Mr. Decker, please read the next name.
The next speaker is Kim Ramirez.
Kimberly Ramirez. Good morning, City Council members. I am Kimberly Ramirez, a Philadelphia Department of Prisons Advisory Board member, and I feel incredibly honored to pay tribute to Commissioner Blanche Carney during Women's History Month. I had the privilege of meeting Commissioner Carney at a conference focused on improving adult literacy in Philadelphia back in 2015. Little did I know that a few months later she would become the first female prison commissioner in Philadelphia and one of only a handful of women to hold that position in the United States. Since her appointment, Commissioner Carney has effectively led Philadelphia prisons through significant transformations and unprecedented challenges, including the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Under her leadership, the City of Philadelphia has implemented a restorative approach to pretrial incarceration, with access to critical services such as GED programs, job training, and mental health and addiction treatment. Incarcerated individuals return to their communities as productive workers and taxpayers, enabling those with children to be more actively involved in their children's lives. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, Commissioner Carney and her team worked tirelessly to keep the virus from spreading in our jails. Their efforts successfully prevented a major outbreak and kept the impact of the COVID-19 inside the jails below the community infection rate. However, the pandemic has highlighted the importance of addressing inefficiencies and inequalities within our criminal legal system. As a city, we must recommit ourselves to reform efforts, criminal justice reform efforts for the betterment of Philadelphians now and for future generations. I am proud of our work under Commissioner Carney's leadership. Philadelphia's criminal justice reform efforts are better off because of her compassion, her unwavering belief in the power of transformation, and her ability to lead through adversity. Thank you for your time today, and happy Women's History Month.
Thank you so much. Mr. Decker?
Dr. Morita Johnson Harrell.
Good morning, Council President and Council members. My name is Dr. Movita Johnson Harrell. I'm sorry, I lost my picture. And I am former representative of the 190th District and made history 4 years ago this month, being elected as so. I stand in support of the Honorable Rochelle Bilal, the first female sheriff, as a career police officer, leader of the Guardian Civic League, officer of the Philadelphia NAACP, and now sheriff of the City of Philadelphia. She has fought to empower and to uplift the most marginalized and disenfranchised communities in Philadelphia. As sheriff, she has fed families during COVID and beyond, hosted coat drives and toy giveaways, and brought RAM and DentMed to the City of Philadelphia, the first free, totally free, dental, medical, and vision clinic. I am honored to be chair of her Sheriff's Executive Committee of Chaplains and Honorary Deputies, and I can tell you that this sheriff has so much more to bring to the City of Philadelphia, and please, can we give this sheriff a round of applause as a history maker, as the first female sheriff in the City of Philadelphia. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Decker?
The next speaker is Kaya Chow.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kaya Chow. I am Debbie Way's daughter and the co-founder of Students for the Preservation of Chinatown. I co-founded SPOC in response to the proposal to build a basketball arena that would sit on the same block as Chinese-owned businesses. My mother was born to Chinese immigrants. New to the country, Chinatown was the only place they could feel comfortable and buy groceries to cook familiar food, being one of the only ways to make this country feel like home. My mom, a second-generation Chinese American, also saw Chinatown as a safe haven, a place where she did not have to be ashamed of her identity. Now, as a third-generation Chinese American, I can say that I feel the same way about Chinatown. I grew up going to Folk Arts Cultural Treasures Charter School, a school that my parents founded. Going to Chinatown and seeing peers who looked like me every day strengthened my identity. The holiday I looked forward most wasn't to Christmas, it was Mid-Autumn Festival, which my parents were also founders of. Chinatown was where I learned to walk around on my own. I did that even as a young child because I felt safe there. Amidst the rise of anti-Asian violence throughout the country, Chinatown is still my safe haven. My earliest memories consist of attending protests and city council hearings, watching my mom fight against the construction of a proposed casino in Chinatown. My mom also taught me that it isn't just Chinatown. We need to work in solidarity with all people who face oppression and injustice. My mom taught me about family, not just of blood. Our home is always filled with her former students who she mentored over the years. When people ask me how many people are in my family, it's so hard to answer. There's so many people who call my mom, Mom. My mother has dedicated her life to the fight for the existence of Chinatown, both so my grandparents could always have a place to feel comfortable and so her children did not have to lose connection to their heritage and Asian American identity. Now, as an adult, I have the responsibility to fight as hard as I can for the sacred community, so my parents can also grow old here and so my children have the same safe haven as I was provided as a child. Thank you for honoring my mom and all her work to preserve Chinatown.
Thank you so much. Mr. Decker.
Linda Chung.
Ms. Chung will be testifying in Chinese and I'll be reading her translation right after.
Thank you. Just state your name and then proceed.
Hello， 你哋好，我叫做 Linda 張，我十幾歲我就嚟美國啦，生長喺呢個到咗喺呢個費城嘅唐街，到一路長大之後去做工、結婚同埋生兒育女，至到而家退咗休啦。我覺得唐街係我哋個家庭嚟嘅，呢幾十年來，唐街變化好大。最難忘呢，就係我認識到阿 Debbie Way， 佢係一個好共處嘅，同埋一個好相處、好關懷唐人街，亦好幫助我哋啲唐人去爭取呢個待遇。Debbie Way 係一個亞洲聯合歡會嘅創治人，喺唐人街佢幫我哋爭取呢個一年一度嘅中秋節。同埋喺麥科學校嘅校車，而且仲爭取到呢個第一間嘅公社嘅特許嘅學校。至於因為我哋呢，唐人街越嚟越繁榮，整到個唐人街都細咗。跟住呢，又話2000年呢起呢個棒球同埋賭場喺2008年。至到今年嘅2022年，又話起呢個76號嘅籃球嘅球場。我哋呢個150年嘅歷史喺呢個唐人街不斷已經有改變㗎啦，已經發展到越嚟越細嘅地方，又起到呢個高速公路嘅灣街。所以呢，我哋呢一樣繼續去努力爭取。能夠設備嘅，希望你哋能夠支持我哋。我好多謝 Debbie Way 幫我哋爭取呢個社會同埋公認嘅權利，同埋呢個，而且我哋去抗議呢個賭場同埋波場。喺我心目中好多謝，多謝 Debbie Way。
The next speaker is Feng Lim.
Hold on. It's translating.
Hello, my name is Linda Chung. I have lived in Philadelphia's Chinatown since I was a teenager when my family immigrated to the United States. I grew up, worked, got married, raised my children, and have now retired in this Chinatown community. This community can be said to be my home. Over the decades, our community has gone through many changes, and of those changes, the ones I remember the most is knowing, being with, and working with Debbie Wei. Debbie is one of the founders of the Asian Americans United and a leader in the fight against inequality in Chinatown. She co-founded the annual Chinatown Mid-Autumn Festival celebration with Chinatown High School students. She helped us fight for a school bus to pick up Chinatown elementary school students and establish the first public charter school in Philadelphia's Chinatown. Philadelphia's Chinatown has a history of over 150 years. Over the past few decades, the developments and new construction projects around Chinatown have forced us to shrink again and again. Because of the construction of the Vine Street Expressway, Market Street East, and the Convention Center, Chinatown in Philadelphia has gotten smaller and smaller. Our community will not give up the right to continue to survive. In this community, although oppressed, we continue to survive and thrive. Debbie Wei organized and led us, reminding us that the community is our home. We are the masters of this community, and we have rights that should be respected. Every time a proposal to build a stadium or casino is announced, Debbie informs the community of the details in a timely manner so that our community has the ability to make the right decision. As a volunteer, Debbie really gave a lot of her personal time and energy. The most important thing is her love and care for this community. I can say that Debbie is part of what I call home. She is one of our family. I hope that Debbie can continue to be our leader and continue to fight for equal treatment in our community and protect the rights that our citizens should have. Finally, I want to say I am against the construction of the basketball arena that will destroy Chinatown. The traffic is already bad in our community, and this will make it so much worse. Property values will rise, and we lower-income people will suffer the most. We are now in another fight for our beloved community, and like so many times before, Debbie is one of the leaders helping to save our community. Thank you for honoring her, because it means that you also honor Chinatown, and I hope you will support us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. Please read the next name. Point of order.
Nice. Okay.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Thank you. I have to leave this session and request an absence for the rest of the session to attend to city business. And I'd like to be voting aye on all bills and resolutions, and also aye on any attempt that's made or any vote that's taken on overriding the mayor's veto. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. It'll be noted for the record. Aye votes on all bills or resolutions and overrides. Mr. Decker, please read the next thing.
The next speaker is Fang Lim.
My name is Pang Lim, and I am the principal of the Folk Arts Cultural Treasures Charter School in Chinatown, a National Blue Ribbon awarded public school. But before I was a principal there, I was a teacher. And I started at FACS in 2005, its first year. And the principal who hired me, the founding principal, was Debbie Wei. It was clear that Debbie had a vision for education, a vision where the central mission of the school is to create communities of care and nurture for children, honoring families and community knowledge and values, and respecting the professional learning space for educators. The founders had exactly 6 months to build a school from the ground up. Debbie is an advocate for our students and families. When our families who face deportation and mistreatment at the hands of ICE, Debbie rallied support for the families, testifying, calling newspapers, even allowing families to stay in her home when they needed support. The first few years at FACS was a transformative experience for me and the members of the school community. A school does not stand as a single entity, but a community. She helped us learn about the history of the neighborhood and space our school resides. In turn, we all learn to be advocates. We have a voice to stand up to injustice. We help fight a casino development to protect families struggling with gambling addiction. We were a safe haven for students who fled violence at their school and spent 9 days boycotting and meeting at FACS for change. The school sits on top of where a stadium was proposed. We work to help ourselves and our community is a line from our school pledge that Debbie co-wrote. And now we are seeing the community rally once again for its life under the threat of an unnecessary arena proposed by predatory developers. She is absolutely deserving of this. But knowing Debbie, the biggest honor you can give her, it's not necessarily this resolution. It is the commitment from all of you as elected officials to protect all communities across Philadelphia, including Chinatown. It is what she would see as appreciation for her work and the work of so many others. She had said something that stuck with me. We will always be protecting what we love. Yesterday, I heard an 8th grader say, change and movement do not happen with only a few individuals, but many, many people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
Reverend Robin Hanika.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Council President Clark and council members. My name is Robin Hanika, and I serve as the lead pastor of the Arch Street United Methodist Church, which I might add is older than the Masonic Temple and City Hall. For over 150 years, the residents of Chinatown have been our nearest neighbor. So I'm honored to speak to this resolution recognizing Debbie Way for her dedicated work to preserve Chinatown. Debbie considers Arch Street her spiritual home. To me, Debbie is the beloved community incarnate. Her tenure as a Chinatown advocate inspired not only Chinatown residents, but Philadelphians of all kinds to stand in opposition to the existential threats to her neighborhood presented by the Vine Street Expressway, a commuter tunnel, the convention center, a baseball stadium, a casino, and now a 76ers arena. Her soulful work simply is to preserve Chinatown, the last remaining working-class neighborhood of color in Center City. In a recent article in the Philadelphia Inquirer, David Edelman, a principal in the development of the arena, reminisced about attending 76ers basketball games as a 6-year-old boy. What a privilege it was to feel free to go into a crowd of unknown people and not feel unsafe even as a child. Compare that to Debbie Way, who as a child felt safest and most welcome only in Chinatown, a place where benevolence, family bonds, and a broad array of traditional foods meant more than mere acceptance. It was a sacred experience that belied the racial slurs and physical assaults that were and still are an everyday occurrence outside of Chinatown. In a time when public safety is so important to the residents of our city, why threaten something that already exists in Chinatown, one of the safest neighborhoods in Philadelphia? So like hundreds of other people of faith and conscience from around the city, represented in power interfaith, I commend Debbie for her irascible, irresistible, and inspirational decades of leadership. Thank you very much.
The next speaker is Samira McCafferty.
Okay. Oh. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello, my name is Samir McCafferty, and I'm the Executive Assistant for Sheriff Rochelle Bilal. I just came here today to speak on behalf of Sheriff Rochelle Bilal, on behalf of millennials. It's so great to see 3 women right here who have made a long, well-deserved history making for our city. A black African American like me, to see these 3 black females inspires me. Every day, you always go in, you see people like you, however, not at the top. In honor of Women's History Month, to see 3 black females in the top of the city inspires me to be a better individual. I believe that these women should always be honored because little black girls need to see females who go through hardships, but however, they prosper and they inspire the youth. By inspiring the youth, we will have future doctors, future lieutenants, future captains, or future people who want to go into law enforcement to make it better in their neighborhoods. So thank you, Sheriff Rochelle Bilal, for inspiring me, for allowing me to work in your administration, for helping those in need, for being a community outreach advocate, and always allowing the youth to be the future of Philadelphia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
Diane Richardson.
Good morning, council
Good morning.
members. My name is Diane Richardson, and I'm the block captain of the Gilbert 79ers. I have been in existence with the Gilbert 79ers for 18 years as a block captain and 5 years as a co-block captain. In our block, we're very organized. We pretty much do all the cleanups in the city of Philadelphia throughout with the spring cleaning and throughout the division in whole. We are a very organized block. We want to take this opportunity to thank Council Member Anthony Phillips for this honorary resolution today. We are so grateful that you honor us, that you continue to see that work that we do in our neighborhood and throughout the city. Thank you so much. I appreciate it with the council members within this block that this resolution will always stand. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
Angela Smith.
Good morning.
Hi, my name is Angela M. Smith. Hi, Council. I just want to, first of all, start off by thanking Anthony Phillips. I thank you so much for honoring us in the 9th District. Never been honored before. I'm so happy, especially with the women that are being honored today for Women's Month. I do a lot in Albany and Upper Albany, community events, different things of that nature. And I just want to say, no matter what your title is, as stakeholders of Philadelphia, we need to come out and support our leaders, support them very strong. When people like Rochelle Bilal give community meetings, come to community meetings and do things, and Anthony Phillips, it lets you know no matter where they live or what their address is, they still participate as stakeholders in the city of Philadelphia, caring about our communities and the children and the parents and the seniors in it. So nobody has an excuse. I believe in a motto that I always say, building bridges in our community, all we need is you. No matter what your title is. People like Isaiah Thomas, his family, they come out to community meetings. They all get involved. And that's what it takes in our city, for us all to be involved. And I'm, again, so happy to be honored today. So happy, but again, it takes all of us. And that's all I want to say. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Nabiha Parker.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Nabiha Parker. I'm Partnership Coordinator at Building 21 High School. So it's kind of dangerous when you ask teachers to come up and talk, but I'm going to watch the light. So first I would like to invite everybody in here. If you would like to be a partner with Building 21, just get on their website, contact me. But I would like to say, Councilman Phillips, thank you very much for this recognition. It is really an honor to be recognized today when there are so many thousands of women currently and throughout history who could stand here in this space because of their contributions to the success of our youth. Councilman Phillips, we are also thankful for your partnership with Building 21 and your personal attention to nurturing our students by hosting them at your office, contributing to their professional growth, and also learning from our young people who are arguably our most important citizens. To all of the council members, thank you, and please continue your commitment to the children in Philadelphia, from early childhood education through high school and beyond. We at Building 21 thank you for holding the school district accountable for providing access to records and documents needed for us to return safely to our school building. The educational system in Philadelphia has a myriad of issues that will require creativity, partnerships, funding, and long-term change. From the important agenda of creating spaces for minority students at our special admit schools and then making them comfortable, to mental health support for all of our children and young adults, to the seemingly never-ending dilemma of asbestos, lead, and safety at our edifices of learning. Your work as council members is never-ending. Your work is appreciated. As you might have heard from some of your other teachers, you'll hear from me. Keep trying. You can do it. Keep going. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
Ogbona Higgins, commenting on 221015.
How you doing, sir?
Morning.
Great morning, everybody. I'm speaking on this, the ordinance amending Title 19 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Finance, Taxes, and Collections, and to incentivize affordable housing development by authorizing tax exemptions pursuant to the Affordable Housing Unit Tax Exemption Act, all under certain terms and conditions. My question is, Ogbona Higgins, H-A-G-I-N-S. My question is, what exactly is this word salad? What exactly does amending Title 19 of the Philadelphia Code mean? Who exactly is this incentivizing? Does the average citizen really understand this? Who is being exempted from taxes? I want to remind this body to know that simply providing affordable housing is not the answer to lifting people up. What is being done for those who qualify for affordable housing to be lifted from those roles? We need people to be lifted up so that they're not a part of affordable housing. Generally, people are in affordable housing from generation to generation. I want to remind this body and those listening that the government, as it relates to Afro-Americans, historically has discriminated against this group. As noted by the Brookings Institute, there has been empirical data that shows long-standing social, economic, and legal repression of Afro-Americans in Philadelphia. Through home and commercial property ownership, the average loss in the Afro-American community value in houses is $48,000. That's been since the year 2000. Per home, amounting to hundreds of billions of dollars of cumulative losses. This injustice warrants a committee accompanied by the district attorney, the district attorney's office, to investigate and, if need be, prosecute those who are responsible. Note, only have African Americans been robbed in the past. We need to get reparations. We need to be economically repaired from the decades of loss from Jim Crow laws, convict leasing, convict leasing, and discrimination in education, et cetera, et cetera. And I just really got to say,
thank you.
2 minutes is just not enough.
Well,
how do you guys just like, we got to get out of here in 2 minutes? What do we got to do? So 2 minutes is not enough. We can stay in here a little bit longer. To be rushed.
Mr. Higgins, come on. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Horace Clouden.
Hello? Ready? Okay. Good morning, whatever. My name is Horace Clouden, talking about affordable housing. You know, how would you feel if you received a tax notice that your taxes have been increased to over 100% because of someone is building in your zip code, not beside you? You know, I'm talking about the area item number 4, the area item number 4 for the reason of deteriorated area. The question is, if you have a home or two on your block that is deteriorated, why should my property be taxed at over 100%? When on fixed income and you have to go into your savings to pay the taxes, you are not making my home affordable. You are taking away from my generational wealth. When the land or space in question has been changed from deteriorated to prep for new construction, does that change the status/definition of the property? You know, to increase the property assessment does me no good because I'm not ready to sell or ready to pay a tax increase because of an assessment for new construction in the name of affordable housing. Say no to that bill. Have everyone pay their fair share of taxes. Take people like myself off the tax increase list. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Appreciate it.
The next speaker is Mama Gail Clouden.
Good morning. Well, good afternoon, sorry.
Peace and love, family. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Drop it. Oh. Peace and love. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Before my time starts, I just want to say thank you for coming to visit Peace Suite at Strawberry Mansion High School, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, President. Peace and love, family. I sat here today in City Council remembering how I never had the opportunity to learn civics. Writing and remembering a slogan that, it was written, and I remembered this slogan as a young person, taxation without representation. And that was written, I believe, in the 1740s. So as I stand here thinking about how many of our families have been used and abused in the name of taxation, how people are constantly getting abatements all the time on the backs of people that have the least. And so I understand, overstand that there's universal law. So I stand here in City Council on this day of our Lord, and I declare, claim, and decree that on this day of our Lord, that those that have the least will stop being taken advantage of. Many of our people have voted for you all who are here, and you have left to run for mayor. And we voted for you knowing, believing, thinking that you would do something to help. In a city that has been racially divided over many, many years, and that hasn't changed. As I think in terms of riding up and down the street, and I remember when I said to Dr. Haidt, Dr. Ackerman, bless her soul, ride up and down the streets and see who's working. It reminds me of South Africa. Look at who is working. When people say our children, our young people, our adults can't pass tests, why is that? Why is that? So you're constantly taxing and using them for tax abatements, the children, the adults. It's over. And I said, I believe in universal law. Again, I stand here in City Council, I decree, I declare, I claim on this day of our Lord that you will stop using our poorest to get the most. It's got to end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
The next speaker is Leah Clouden.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Leah Clouden. I didn't prepare anything, but I'm going to go off of what my parents said, what my mother said about driving around and seeing that I don't see people that look like us, African American. I know that we have the majority. I don't know if we still have the majority because we're importing a lot of immigrants. But the thing about tax abatement is that us as residents, we get nothing out of this. All we do is pay, pay, pay. The educational system, and I'll say it again, is 8% away from total failure. So in the name of the children does not work because the system does not work. Even my trash services, the services you're supposed to get from the police, they come the next day for reports, no matter what it is. I watch accidents outside my house because the city has agreed or gave a contract to these people to redesign the streets, and they don't put the streets back the way they used to be. So I watch accidents, I would say about 3 to 4 times a week happening outside my door. I've called several times. So this tax abatement, as far as the low income moving into the neighborhood, they need help when they move into our neighborhood. And we've all had, well, if you're black in Philadelphia, we've had many a moments where we've all been low income because we know that there is no fair pay. There hasn't been fair pay, especially with people here today about raising the minimum wage. This city has to do better. We're tired of paying and not getting anything back. You have companies coming in and making crazy money for 30% of their units. This has to stop. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.
The next speaker is Captain Nicole Nobles.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Chief Deputy Vonda Hairston, and I'm honored to speak on behalf of my boss, Rochelle Bilal. I have worked with the city of Philadelphia for 31 years. 4 of those were with the Philadelphia prisons and 27 years with the Office of the Sheriff. I have served under 3 administrations, and I must say, Sheriff Bilal has brought a different atmosphere to the office. She's very approachable, down to earth, and cares about the office, and more importantly, our deputies. Because of her, we are finally being recognized as the law enforcement agency that we always have been, and because of that, we are gaining more respect throughout the city of Philadelphia. I have great respect for her as my boss, as a strong black woman, and consider her a mentor. The sheriff has promoted me twice since taking office, and I want to personally and publicly thank her for seeing a potential in me that I didn't necessarily see in myself, at least at this level of responsibility. So with that, I just want to thank you, Sheriff Bilal, for what you're doing for our office, what you have done for me, and the way that you care for all of us.
Captain Nicole Nobles. I really not a speaker, but I'm head of the warrant unit of the Philadelphia Sheriff's Office. I just want to say that Sheriff Bilal, she's been a real mentor since she's came. When you speak about black girls, young black girls in the city of Philadelphia being and having someone to look up to, I'm a product of that. When she came here, I was just in awe to see a black woman be ahead of the sheriff's office. I also worked up in the Philadelphia prison, so just having her as a boss means a lot to us. She's done a lot for us. I mean, we didn't have any vests. We didn't have any shields. we going through houses without no shields. I mean, when Sheriff Bilal came here, we got shields, we got helmets. That means a lot to us. When nobody else cared about us, she came in here and she cared about us. And again, thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Lynn Landis, commenting on 210913.
Good afternoon. My name is Lynn Landis of healthalertphilly.org. I support Resolution 210913. But I also have a question. Why is the Board of Health continuing to mandate COVID vaccines for city employees, contractors, and others? And could it have anything to do with the tens of millions of dollars of federal funds the city receives? Because it is now common knowledge that COVID vaccines do not stop COVID, but instead come with dangerous and deadly side effects, particularly clots in the blood, which is why they are often called clot shots. It has also become increasingly clear that COVID was made in a Chinese lab using funds provided by the US government. But did you know that many vaccines are also made by the Chinese? That's according to a Pfizer whistleblower, as well as a May 10th, 2021 press release I have in my hand from a Chinese vaccine company. Why would our federal government pay the Chinese to manufacture vaccines to guard against the very disease the Chinese themselves created? And why would our federal government and most other governments around the world then mandate these vaccines for their citizens? By the way, China did not give their citizens the mRNA COVID vaccine. It's time to connect the dots. Last September, City Council formally apologized for the coerced medical experimentation on mostly black prisoners at Holmesburg Prison from the 1950s to the 1970s. That tragic injustice of the past is hauntingly similar to what is happening today, except now it's on a global scale. The COVID shots that Philadelphia is coercing people into taking are dangerous and deadly. The Society of Actuaries has reported that deaths went up dramatically after the rollout of the COVID vaccines. Something has gone terribly wrong. City Council needs to do the right thing and end all COVID vaccine mandates now before more deadly damage.
The next speaker is Sheriff Rochelle Bilal.
To the commissioners, you might as well tee up too. I think, yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Bring my partners up here. Good afternoon, Councilman. Sheriff Rochelle Bilal for the City and County of Philadelphia. I just want to thank Council for honoring us in this Women's History Month because we do work hard in this city. I want to thank my staff for coming here. I didn't know they were going to speak. I do know that I appreciate what y'all said. What we do in this city is more important than what some opinion people can say about us because we do it anyway. I've been in the city all my life. And what I care about is what the people need in this city. I don't stay in a box as just a sheriff. I do what I see is needed for the people of this city. And so when you see me out in the community, it's not just about the sheriff position, it's about what we need here in this city. And so whenever I can help out, wherever I can help out, whatever we can do, then I'm there to do. I'm not leaving this city when I get done this job. I'm going to stay here and be a pain in somebody else's backside because that's me. I'm going to do what it is when I need to do it. And I thank y'all so much. You don't know. The amount of work that we do, most people don't even see it. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
The next speaker is Commissioner Danielle Outlaw.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I didn't know we were speaking. But I too want to say thank you. I didn't expect my staff to be here as well. I appreciate the support. I also want to thank Evelyn Sample Oates for your kind remarks as well. I just want to say this very quickly. We tend to get these jobs. I know what we're standing here, what we represent, and what people see. We're all first. But I want to remind people that we tend to get these jobs when things are at their worst. I got an amen corner over here. I know that, right? We get these jobs when things are at their worst. And when they don't turn around right away, folks are real quick to say, see, I told you. We are not going to be successful in these roles without everyone's collaborative efforts. I said it on day one, and I'm going to say it again. I moved across the country because I care, and I'm passionate about this work, as is everyone in this room. And the sooner we work together, the quicker we will see the results. And the last thing I'm going to say is this. It can't be February or March where we continue to recognize the accomplishments of so many people in this city. Our young people have to know that they're on the right path as well. And that's all day, every day, regardless of what we look like. But we also recognize that women bring us strength to this. We have a different set of interpersonal skills, quite frankly, that maybe some people don't. Grace, strength, compassion, mercy, empathy, understanding, these are not weaknesses, these are strengths. And the sooner we see that, the better off we'll be. So thank you very much for this recognition, and I appreciate everybody's support.
Thank you, Commissioner.
The next speaker is Commissioner Blanche Carney.
Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Council President, and thank you, Council Member Cindy Bass, and all Council members that are honoring us. I echo the comments of my sisters, because unbeknownst to the general public, we work closely together behind the scenes, not looking for recognition, standing up on the darkest days. It's not easy with the task and the COVID pandemic and everything that has been thrown at the police, the sheriffs, and the prisons. And yes, things do happen, but this is not for the faint of heart. But we show up every day dedicated because we're public servants. We understand people's lives are in our hands, and we give it 100%. And standing up under that scrutiny is because we're committed to this work. We are committed to this work. That means every day there's a challenge, and we stand up and we meet it. And we stand supporting each other. And that's the key here. Understanding that we communicate, picking up the phone, not going email for email. How can I help you? What do you need? I heard that's happening. This is all happening because we're part of that public safety cluster. And it's so easy to finger point, to say, look, they're not doing it. There's no way anyone in this room could have predicted the pandemic and the impact that it would have had. All right? But we show up every day under those circumstances. Yes, we're short of staff, but we're working to draw people back to public safety. There's been a lot of negative press about police, prisons, sheriffs. We have to change the narrative to attract people back to these very positions that will help keep us safe in the city of Philadelphia. So we have to continue, press forward, and I'm just grateful to stand with these women because it's not easy. And sometimes you look at us and it says, they don't care. No, we don't wear that on our sleeve. We pull them up and we do the task and we meet that challenge, and we're committed to this work. So thank you and God bless.
Thank you. Thank you to you all. Thank you very much. That concludes our public comment for today. We now consider the bills and resolutions on the second reading and final passes calendar. You all, should we wait? We got photo ops going on. We're going to take a brief 3-minute recess. Let's do a 5-minute recess. Thank you. Yeah, real 5 minutes. Good. All right, we're going to start. Thank you. We are back. Great. Okay. We're going to get started again. Thank you all. And again, thanks to our fine commissioners and our sheriff for their awesome work in their public service. Close the door, please. Thank you. All right, we will now proceed with our calendar on our bills and resolutions. On our second reading and final passes calendar, Mr. Decker, please read the title of resolution number 230215.
A resolution also naming South 22nd Street between Market Street and Chestnut Street, Pat Eiting Way, to honor Patrick J. Eiting for his service as president of the Philadelphia Council, AFL-CIO, and his accomplishments on behalf of Philadelphia workers.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title 230216.
A resolution urging the Pennsylvania General Assembly to act as on Governor Shapiro's call in his 2023 budget address to raise the state's minimum wage to $15 and to deliver a living wage for workers in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Thank you. The chair again recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. I just have brief remarks regarding this particular resolution. And as we take the final vote today on this resolution supporting Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's call to raise the state's minimum wage from $7.25 per hour to $7.25 per hour to $15 per hour. At this moment, Pennsylvania is one of 20 states nationwide where the minimum wage is no higher than the federal minimum wage of $7.25, which was set 14 years ago in 2009. Every state that borders Pennsylvania has already raised its minimum wage. Among our neighboring states, Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, and New York have already raised the minimum wage above $13 and have plans to continue to raise the minimum wage until they reach $15 per hour in the coming years. So my colleagues, all my colleagues in this room, all too well know the impact of the state's antiquated minimum wage on working families. We meet people in Philadelphia who work hard every day but still live below the federal poverty line. It should be clear to anybody looking at the numbers that the state antiquated minimum wage is holding back working families in Philadelphia and across the Commonwealth. According to a report by the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry, 2% of Pennsylvania hourly wage workers were paid at or below the federal minimum wage in 2022, while nearly 13% were paid between $7.25 and $12 per hour. That's nearly 1 million people in Pennsylvania made less than $15 per hour last year. The result is that far too many working families in Pennsylvania have trouble making ends meet. When we account for the cost of living, Philadelphia is one of the major cities where it's most difficult for minimum wage workers to make ends meet. And our neighbors across the Commonwealth don't fare much better. The MIT living wage calculator estimates that in Pennsylvania, single adults with no children need $16.67 per hour to support themselves. A single adult with one child needs $32.42 per hour, and a household with 2 working adults and 2 children needs $23.28 per hour per adult. These numbers should make it clear that the current minimum wage is not a living wage in Philadelphia or in any other county in Pennsylvania. For years, Democrats in the Pennsylvania General Assembly, including myself, have joined with working families and union leaders to fight for $15 an hour minimum wage. Now it's time to make it a reality. A $15 per hour minimum wage will help all residents throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania rise out of poverty and towards a brighter future. The late President John F. Kennedy once said, "No American is ever made better off by pulling a fellow American down, and every American is made better off whenever any one of us is made better off. A rising tide raises all boats." I want to thank members from Unite Here, SEIU 32BJ, and the Pennsylvania Unemployment Project for supporting this resolution. And at this particular time, Council President, I move for the adoption of the resolution and thank my colleagues for their support.
Thank you. It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Motion carries. Resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, 230218.
A resolution renaming the 2800 block of North 22nd Street to Willie Seward Way to recognize, honor, and celebrate the life and legacy of Willie Seward for his dedication to the city of Philadelphia.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm pleased to move for the adoption of this resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution is adopted. Mr. Decker, please read the title of Bill number 230079.
An ordinance constituting the 27th supplemental ordinance to the restated general water and wastewater revenue bond ordinance of 1989 is supplemented, authorizing the bond committee to issue or sell one or more series or subseries of tax-exempt or taxable water and wastewater revenue bonds and revenue refunding bonds, authorizing agreements to provide credit, enhancement of payment, or liquidity sources or any combination of the foregoing for such bonds, providing that such bonds shall bear interest at fixed or variable rates, determining the sufficiency of pledged project revenues, and authorizing the Director of Finance to take actions with regard to the sale of such bonds.
Thank you. This bill has been read on 2 different days. The question is now, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Brooks. Councilman Driscoll. Councilwoman Gauthier. Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson. Councilman Harity. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones. Councilwoman Lozada. Councilman O'Neill is voting aye. Councilman Phillips. Councilman Squilla. Councilman Thomas. Councilwoman Vaughn. Council President Clark.
Aye. The ayes are 15 and nays are 0. Majority of all members present voting in affirmative. The bill passes. Mr. Decker, 230104.
An ordinance approving the amendment of the fiscal year 2023 capital budget, providing for expenditures for the capital purposes of the Philadelphia Gas Works, including the supplying of funds in connection therewith.
This bill had been read on 2 different days. The question now, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Brooks. Councilman Driscoll. Councilwoman Gauthier. Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson. Councilman Harity, Councilman Johnson, Councilman Jones, Councilwoman Lozada, Councilman O'Neill is voting aye, Councilman Phillips, Councilman Squilla, Councilman Thomas, Councilwoman Vaughn, Council President Clark.
Aye. Ayes are 15, nays are 0. Majority of all members present voting in the affirmative. The bill passes. 230-105.
An ordinance authorizing the extension of the program authorized by Bill number 1810443, under which advance approval is given to the Philadelphia Facilities Management Corporation to enter into certain contracts and transactions arising thereunder for the purchase, storage, distribution, transportation, and/or transmission of natural and other gas supply on behalf of the Philadelphia Gas Works.
This bill has been read on 2 different days. The question now, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass, Councilwoman Brooks, Councilman Driscoll, Councilwoman Gauthier, Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson, Councilman Harity, Councilman Johnson, Councilman Jones, Councilwoman Lozada, Councilman O'Neill is voting aye, Councilman Phillips, Councilman Squilla, Councilman Thomas, Councilwoman Vaughn, Council President Clark.
Aye. The ayes are 15, the nays are 0. Majority of members present voting in the affirmative. The bill passes. Mr. Decker, 220-914.
An ordinance renaming and designating the property commonly referred to as the Hillside Recreation Center, located at 201 Fountain Street, as the Lonnie Cohen Recreation Center in the city of Philadelphia.
This bill has been read on 2 different days. The question now, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass, Councilwoman Brooks, Councilman Driscoll, Councilwoman Gauthier, Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson, Councilman Harity, Councilman Johnson, Councilman Jones, Councilwoman Lozada, Councilman O'Neill is voting aye, Councilman Phillips, Councilman Squilla, Councilman Thomas, Councilwoman Vaughn, Council President Clark.
Clark, I'm sorry. Aye. Ayes are 15. It's a long session. The ayes are 15 and nays are 0. Majority of all members present have voted in the affirmative. The bill passes. Mr. Decker, 220-972.
An ordinance amending an ordinance, Bill number 877, approved September 16, 1994, by amending an exhibit thereto, in order to increase the limit of the amount of funding any entity may receive in any fiscal year from the Philadelphia Activities Fund.
This bill has been read on 2 different days. The question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass, Councilwoman Brooks, Councilman Driscoll, Councilwoman Gauthier, Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson, Councilman Harity, Councilman Johnson, Councilman Jones, Councilwoman Lozada, Councilman O'Neill is voting aye, Councilman Phillips, Councilman Squilla, Councilman Thomas, Councilwoman Vaughn, Council President Clark.
Aye. The ayes are 15 and nays are 0. Majority of members present voting in affirmative that the bill passes. Mr. Decker, give me additional resolution.
A resolution honoring Diane Richardson, Angela Smith, Nabia Parker, Marlene Trice, and Marlon L. Torres as heroes of the 9th Council District for their laudable service to the community. Mr. President, Councilman Phillips would like to be recognized on this resolution.
Chair recognizes Councilman Phillips.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Good afternoon, Council President. Thank you so much. And also, good afternoon to the viewing public. And for this particular resolution, good afternoon to all of those who are viewing from the 9th District. This week, I am proud to introduce a resolution honoring Diane Richardson, Angela Smith, Nabia Parker, Marlene Trice, and Marilyn Torres as heroes of the 9th District for their laudable service to the community. This is my second Heroes of the 9th District resolution, and what I plan on being an ongoing series of resolutions in this month. I was intentional about honoring servant leaders who are women in our district, given that it is Women's History Month. Today, I have with me Angela Smith. If we can have Angela Smith please stand. I want to let you know that Council President, when I first met Angela Smith, one of the first things she said to me was something centered around, are you going to serve? Are you going to help us in Alany? And let me tell you something. I took everything that she said to heart. I went home that night and thought about all the things that I can do to be a better representative, or whatever I can do to make sure that Alany is one of the best areas represented by our district. But I did that because Angela Smith was a person who let me know all of the issues and concerns that Alany was having, in the upper half of Alany for sure. But also one of the things that I loved about her was that she was already doing a lot of the work to take care of the residents of Alany, from food drives to making sure that Alany residents understood the importance of voting, and also understand the right people that should be in office. But the most important thing that people don't know that Angela did that was really, really great, Sturgis Recreation Center was a shell before Angela Smith. Angela literally made sure that the city of Philadelphia got the funding that it was needed in order for Sturgis to be renovated. And I'm so thankful for her, because not only did she do that, recently there was trouble at Sturgis Recreation Center around Saturday operation hours. She made me aware of that, and now, because of her advocacy, we have better Saturday operations hours at Sturgis Recreation Center. Her mother should be proud of her for all of the work that she's done for her community, but most importantly, in memory of her mother, she's had a lot of issues, a lot of events and programs that address cancer research, cancer awareness, and most importantly, funding for cancer. So I just want to say, Angela, who is a business owner of Knowledge is Learn LLC, but outside of her work, she is a committee person, she's a board member on several organizations, and she's a special events coordinator, liaison to communities in the 9th District. To some, she is well known for her work with Sturgis Playground, but to others, for her work supporting those who are dealing with breast cancer, as well as celebrating survivors. So Angela, I love you, and I thank you for all that work that you've done for our 9th District. Thank you.
Thank you.
And before I go, I just also want to mention that Ms. Diane Richardson was here today, and also Nabia Parker. Ms. Diane Richardson is known for being an incredible block leader in our city. Mount Airy is better because of her, in the same way that Alany is better because of Angela. Because of the renowned work that Ms. Diane Richardson has done with delivering city resources to Mount Airy, as well as food resources, our communities are stronger. Ms. Nabia Parker, for all of the work that she's done at Building 21, is incredible with our students, making sure that they have internships, making sure that they have college access materials, as well as making sure they have loving and caring support systems at the school. So I just want to say I thank those two women very much so, and Marlene Trice, who could not be here today. I also would like to just quickly say she is a woman who cares about her Mount Airy community. She has run the Kitchen of Love food pantry for 30 years, and it currently operates out of the Darthian Mount Airy Recreation Center. Kitchen of Love has also organized fundraisers, distributed toys, food, and candy for kids in December, and has given away turkeys and food at the Thanksgiving time. And then finally, Marilyn Torres, she's been a resident of the Tookonie, Frankfurt area for a little while, and she works as the Academy of Natural Sciences, where she advocates to ensure that the Academy becomes more inclusive and accessible institution for the citizens of Philadelphia. I'm really thankful for all of her work with the Tacony Frankfurt Watershed Partnership, which is a local nonprofit in our district. And the last thing I just want to say, all of these women care about our district, and they want to literally see our community grow and significantly get better. So I'm just beyond proud and thankful for all their work. And with that being said, Council President, I move for the adoption of the resolution.
Hold on. Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Good afternoon, Council President, colleagues. I wanted to commend my council colleague and my council member, Councilmember Phillips. That's an amazing list of women that he's recognizing today, and I commend them all. And I definitely just wanted to take a quick second to say thank you to Angie Smith, who's here today, who I know firsthand does amazing work in our community, in our neighborhood, providing free programming and free resources to people across the city. So I just wanted to thank her for being here, and the flowers that Councilmember Phillips is giving her today, she deserved a long time ago. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you. Councilman, make the motion again, please.
With that being said, I would like the motion for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution authorizing the Committee on Labor and Civil Service to hold a hearing examining the economic burden of the unregulated business economy on the City of Philadelphia, introduced today by Councilman Thomas.
Excuse me. Chair recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and congratulating Champion of the Week, Yulissa Ortiz, for becoming the first young woman to win a Philadelphia Public League wrestling title, introduced today by Councilman Thomas.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Thomas.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and recognizing the dedicated service of Deborah Wee, whose steadfast championship and work on behalf of the Philadelphia Chinatown and Asian American communities has inspired a new generation of community advocates and preserved Philadelphia's Chinatown as a vibrant national cultural icon, introduced today by Councilwoman Brooks.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Brooks.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of this resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring and recognizing Maria Adames for her decades of life-changing work on behalf of vulnerable Philadelphians and her commitment and passion for her city and community, introduced today by Councilwoman Brooks.
Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Brooks.
Thank you, Council President. I move for the adoption of this resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution recognizing April 2023 as Autism Acceptance and Awareness Month in the City of Philadelphia and commending the work of the Philadelphia Autism Project, introduced today by Councilman Driscoll.
Chair recognizes Councilman Driscoll.
Mr. President, I move that the resolution be adopted.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution proclaiming the month of March in 2023 as Irish Heritage Month in the City of Philadelphia and honoring the St. Patrick's Day Observance Association of Philadelphia, introduced today by Councilman Driscoll.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Driscoll.
I move that the resolution be adopted.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring Philadelphia Department of Prisons Commissioner Blanche Carney for being a pillar of the community and her exemplary work throughout the City of Philadelphia and outstanding leadership during Women's History Month, introduced today by Councilwoman Bass.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring Philadelphia Police Commissioner Danielle M. Outlaw for being a pillar of the community and for her exemplary work throughout the City of Philadelphia and outstanding leadership during Women's History Month, introduced today by Councilwoman Bass.
Chair again recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
And a resolution honoring Sheriff Rochelle Bilal for being a pillar of the community and for her exemplary work throughout the City of Philadelphia and outstanding leadership during Women's History Month, introduced today by Councilwoman Bass.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it, and that resolution is adopted.
There are no other resolutions on the final passage calendar, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones. Was that a mistake? You got Jones up there. No, I'm saying have Councilman Jones' name up here. Popped up. Did you hit it by mistake?
No.
Oh, you're getting a head start. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, that concludes our calendar for today. We will now move to special order. We will proceed with the consideration of Bill number 230-106, which was passed by the council at its March 9th, 2023 session and was returned disapproved by the mayor at today's session of council, also known as the veto override. The chief clerk will please read the title of Bill number 230-106.
An ordinance providing for the submission of the qualified electors of the City of Philadelphia of the proposal in a resolution approved by City Council amending the Philadelphia Home Rule Charter by establishing the Office of the Chief Public Safety Director to be responsible for ensuring public safety by coordinating the resources, personnel, and employment, property, plant, and equipment within the departments of police, prisons, recreation, and all other relevant city agencies, and authorizing the appropriate officers to publish notice and to make arrangements for the special election.
Thank you, Mr. Decker. This bill, having been read on 2 different days, was duly approved by City Council on March 9th, 2023, and was returned to Council by the Mayor as disapproved at today's session of Council. The question is, shall Bill number 230-106 pass, notwithstanding the Mayor's disapproval? Please note that a vote of aye is a vote to override the Mayor's veto, and a vote of nay is the vote to sustain the Mayor's veto. Mr. Decker, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass. Councilwoman Brooks. Councilman Driscoll. Councilwoman Gautier. Councilwoman Gilmore Richardson. Councilman Harity. Councilman Johnson. Councilman Jones. Councilwoman Lozada. Councilman O'Neill is voting aye. Councilman Phillips. Councilman Squilla. Councilman Thomas. Councilwoman Vaughn. Council President Clark.
Aye. A two-thirds majority of all members of 15-0, sorry. A two-thirds majority of all members of council having voted in the affirmative, the mayor's veto is overridden. Thank you all very much. That completes our calendar for today. Are there any speeches on behalf of the minority? Speeches on behalf of the majority. Chair recognizes Councilman Driscoll.
Mr. President, as I've repeatedly said, we must come together to fight hate in our city. Unfortunately, if you've read the newspapers the last couple of days, the Port Richmond neighborhood in the River Wards was besieged by cowards who, under the cover of darkness, defaced public and private property with stickers espousing hate. Anti-Semitic and white nationalist iconic and language were plastered across the neighborhood. I'm not here to discuss these cowards, but I'm here to thank the heroes who sprang into action to remove and obstruct the view of these hateful messages. An attack on one faith is an attack on all faiths. And I'm proud that the residents of my district and our city are here to show that love wins over hate and that hate has no home or place in this city. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. We concur. Chair recognizes Councilman Harity.
Council President, colleagues, last night another senior Philadelphian was the victim of a brutal assault at 12th and Girard around 10 p.m. last night. The perpetrators approached the man and punched him so hard that the man landed against a wall, hitting his head and losing consciousness. While the man was unconscious, these two individuals stole his wallet and his cell phone. This is just another in a series of violent attacks on normal Philadelphians going about their daily lives. But more disturbingly, this is another senior citizen who is a victim of violent robbery. After all, it was only 6 months ago that a group of people, minors as young as 14 years old, beat a 73-year-old man to death with a traffic cone. This crisis of violence is a symptom of the systematic problems in our system. They include the historic inadequacies in our school district, funding, the opioid epidemic plaguing our neighborhoods, and a nationwide increase in crime rates. Preventing future crimes is nearly impossible without fixing these problems first. However, people who commit these violent crimes need to know that you will be found, arrested, tried in a court of law, and face the full penalty if you are found guilty. In last night's particular crime, a surveillance camera captured the predators, which will aid police in their investigation. It is important that even if the problems causing crime cannot be addressed without hard work from our city's leadership, we must continue to invest in solutions which punish those who resort to violent crimes. Mr. President, I'm so glad that we honored the commissioners today and Sheriff Bilal, because quite frankly, we need our law enforcement. I pledge my help in anything we can do against this gun violence and this violence in the city, especially that violence that hurts our most vulnerable, our senior citizens. This isn't right. Walking down the street, just going about their own business. Young punks, and I'm tired of it. Thank you.
Thank you. We all are. Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, am glad we celebrated the police commissioner, the sheriff, and the prisons commissioner today. Thank you again, Member Bass, for bringing us that powerful visual. When they stood up, it just reminded us of their importance. Today marks the beginning of the holy month of Ramadan. For thousands of Philadelphians, they rose this morning, ate their sabor meal, and began the prayer ritual for the day. It does not fall idly on me that we are also dealing with other religious celebrations, such as, say it again. Lent. No, the one you, the Daniel fast. There you go. The Daniel fast and others. I recognize that because wouldn't this be the perfect time to include working on ourselves, but looking at our community in a broader base and praying for our community. I woke up this morning when I made my prayer and I looked and there was no murders today. A couple of young people in my district were shot. None of them died today. I say that over that 30 days of Ramadan, wouldn't it be a blessing to the city and the world if nobody was murdered? If that we took that spiritual awakening, that spiritual concentration, and spread it out, not only to ourselves, but to our brothers and sisters in every part of the city. And no one died. No one had to ride on that sheriff's bus. No one had to ride in the back of that police car, and no one wound up incarcerated. That's the type of thing that I think represents all of the great religions, and that's what we should be praying for. Today I submitted a resolution calling for a temporary suspension of the preemption law from the state. And why is that important? That's a part of it. When we have sensible gun laws, lost and stolen, red flag, that is a part of that prayer that we say to our colleagues at the state who are renewed and awakening, and Governor Shapiro, I have every degree of confidence in our Philadelphia delegation, every degree of confidence in, but after prayers comes work. And what that should mean is to allow us to take a sensible gun law, lost and stolen, and not be preempted. Now, it can be temporary. You might say, well, let's look at it annually. Let's look at it biannually. Let's look at it every 5 years to see if Philadelphia, city of the first class, deserves this ability to translate that prayer into action. As we look forward in the city of Philadelphia, look forward to a new mayor, this is the number one priority for our city. All of the other issues, economic, job creation, where you live, how you live, where you send your kids to school, center around the violence issue in our city of Philadelphia. So from our prayers, from our pulpits, from our synagogues and mosques. Let that go out to be small steps, small victories over the next 30 days. I know that's a lot, but we need to think big. We should put it out there in the universe and pray hard that this comes to fruition. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Phillips.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to note my gratitude for Councilman Johnson for making our public aware of the fact that City Council is pushing Harrisburg on the importance of $15 minimum wage. Recently, my state senator, Art Haywood, did a social media video on the idea that elected officials in Harrisburg have received an increase of $8.25 for their living wage, yet they have yet to consider the fact that our residents throughout the state of Pennsylvania are now at a minimum wage of $7.25. The reality, man, that's horrendous that we can constantly think about payment increases for an elected official, but not think about our residents. So I just want to note that we need to continue this onslaught approach to making sure that residents in our city and also throughout our Commonwealth are treated fairly with wages. So I want to say thank you, Councilman Johnson, for presenting that urgency to Harrisburg. And then also, shortly after this, we're going to continue an important conversation around taking care of business program, which is a citywide commercial cleaning program that was first initiated by our former Councilwoman Cheryl Parker, who represented the 9th District. And we're looking to continue to expand that program because we do need to make sure that we have wage workers, since we're on a minimum wage conversation, continue to make sure our streets are clean. And not only just in the citywide commercial quarter areas, how do we think about expanding that program to our residential areas in our neighborhoods as well? So I'm looking forward to continue that effort to make sure our neighborhoods are clean throughout the city of Philadelphia. So please come on by if you have time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Chair recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. Just want to be brief. As we prepare next week to start our budget process, we'll all have an opportunity within our own staffs to sit down and do a deeper dive on how we're looking at moving the needle here in the city of Philadelphia regarding all of the city services that we're providing to the taxpayers here in the city of Philadelphia. And I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the press conference that Councilman Isaiah Thomas held last week regarding making sure our young people are receiving a quality education inside schools that are asbestos and lead free. But similarly today at 3:30 outside the Philadelphia School District, there will also be a press conference by the We Caucus. And the We Caucus is I guess I could say a faction that's a part of the PFT, within the PFT, that one of my colleagues hails from, Councilman Brooks, will be advocating, again, around this budget process, specifically holding the school district accountable around the enrollment process, right? And what that enrollment process look like for all the schools here in the city of Philadelphia. And the results of not having a thorough enrollment process impacts our young people, one, as relates to the amount of teachers that are in the classroom, two, the type of resources that our schools receive based upon the number of enrollment of students within our classrooms. And so they are calling upon us as well to make sure that we're examining the enrollment process as well as the facilities process in terms of making sure that, again, when the district does come to city council, they should have a plan and real answers to our questions on how they're going to make sure our schools are lead and asbestos free, and also around this issue of making sure the enrollment process is done properly and efficiently across the board in all of our schools. And that press conference will take place today at 3:30 outside the Philadelphia School District. And for me, similar to the sentiments of my colleague, Councilman Jones, as we address the issue of gun violence here in the city of Philadelphia, we all know, and pretty much everyone inside this room recognize that if you don't receive a quality education early on, it can significantly derail your chances of having a bright future. And so from time to time, since I've been here and also I've been in the State House, we've always provided a significant amount of funding to the district, and I'm always going to be supportive of their efforts to move the needle around funding, but it's also not always about money. It's also about performance. It's all about results. And when you have the academic achievement of young people in reading and math in a lower 30th percentile, right, that's just totally unacceptable, because they give you an idea that some individuals will build prisons based upon the 3rd grade reading level of young people, right? So at what point in time do we begin moving the needle from a performance-based standpoint and making sure there's a return on investment, particularly in the area of education for our young people? And so I look forward to a very, very robust discussion with all of our city agencies as we move forward, but also making sure that when it comes to academic achievement of our young people, they aren't being cheated out of their future. And so thank you very much, Council President.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilman. That concludes our speeches on behalf of the minority and the majority. And with that, the chair recognizes Councilman Squilla for a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the council stand adjourned until Thursday, March 30th, 2023 at 10 a.m.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. The council stand adjourned until Thursday, March 30th, 2023, 10 a.m. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Motion carries. Thank you all very much. Again, please be safe.